the music is also quite sincere, you know.
Right.
Power metal bands often, which is kind of okay. They're kind of making a mockery out of the genre, you know, or like a parody of the genre, and that's fine. And they write great songs. But since you know we think that dragons are pretty fucking great, so we don't want to laugh at the face of dragons, you know.
We are here with Lord Karatos and Lord Solarius of DragonKnight Legionnaires. How are you doing today?
We are doing mighty fine. Salutations.
Salutations to you. Salutations to you. You guys are the vessel, if you will, for otherworldly magical forces to bring a message, a story, and music to planet Earth, if you will. And this is happening very soon. Legions is coming out January 17. The first time such a process happens, a debut record is always very special. So how do you guys feel as chosen vessels for this journey, if you will? What's your mindset right now?
Well, we are really excited. So we have been like sitting on this material for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And we have released 2 singles so far and got a really good feedback. And we are really we really like the album ourselves. So we are really looking forward that everyone who likes power metal gets to listen to it and hear what they think.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess the material had been brewing inside us for many years. So it was really nice to get this thing, you know, done and now out to the public pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that in a second when you say that for a few years, because like, you know, there are some elements there that takes me back to like, you know, late 90s Lost Horizon and stuff like that. So
Great.
I have a feeling that it has been brewing for a while. Absolutely. This is also just because I've had a chance to listen to the full album already as we're recording this, not just the 2 singles. This album is also just a lot of fun. And I know that everybody that is part of this journey is not necessarily a 16-year-old, you know, playing in their first band. When I listen to this album, I get a feeling that this is music that, you know, it's a lot of music that is coming out that couldn't come out maybe before, and just like a lot of stuff that you've always wanted to play. Is there some truth to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that was very well put. We've all been major fans of power metal since our teens, and this kind of felt the natural thing to do now. And would you like to add something?
Yeah, well, as you said, yeah, we are not like 16 and this is our first band, so been listening like for many years to power metal from the early Halloween and Gamma Ray, Manowar, and everything since. So there's there are a lot of influences that we have listened to during the years, and now this is our outlet finally to put our own spin on it.
I already kind of teased at the beginning that, you know, you guys are channeling some supernatural power metal powers, if you will. So let's dive into that, because there's a lot going on this album. There's a lot of themes that you touch on. But what is the overarching story that we should know going into this journey?
So to start with, in the lore of DragonKnight, there are 5 Dragon Lords, right? And they're now, you know, creatures coming up with their new battle plans and songs in the lands beyond time, so the world of DragonKnight. The Legion, on the other hand, is the band performing the music and any fan putting on the mask in this world. So here's the starting point. The main idea is that there were these 5 brothers, and they were dispatched all over the world. And then, you know, during their journeys in the world, they meet different enemies and conquer different worlds and or states, and have different kind of events going on. And then then they finally get together again and reconquer the mystical Atlantis from which they left in the first place. So this is the overarching story. But to be frank, this kind of lore was built when we started working on the album. We started writing songs. There are 3 songwriters, and everyone wanted just to have a visual kind of a song to write, and I think Lord Solarius put it very well, that these were these kind of the songs were these kind of story concepts. And after we had produced these story concepts, we realized that we have an album's worth of material. How do we kind of patch it into a cohesive whole?
Yeah.
And then we were major fans of wearing masks and capes because they're utterly cool. So we kind of built the lore from that, and now as we're looking forward towards the future and maybe future albums as well, we have a base to start from.
It's not unusual for a debut album, whether it is an album of seasoned veterans or whether it's an album of 16-year-olds. It's not unusual for a first album to be very diverse, and a lot of different themes, different sounds are being addressed. When you already mentioned, when you're thinking ahead of what might come, if we do already think ahead a little bit of what might come, do you foresee that you will keep that variety, if you will, in your storytelling? Or is the plan to, based on the reaction, based on what feels right for you as well, as musicians, to narrow that down more, to be down one more specific path? Or do you want to keep it open and diverse?
I can only speak for Lord Karatos, but I think that it might give certain focus to the songs and the themes, but I think also that we don't want to be too tightly sort of wrapped into that world, so that we can write different material, different kinds of songs, and different themes. So that I think it would be great if there would be like a couple of songs in the next possible album, depicting this world and the tales of that world, but also other material.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same, and we didn't overthink this album when we did it, and that's one of the reasons I think it became pretty good. So I don't think we want to do it either with the next album, to overthink it. So if we want to write a track that doesn't rely heavily on the earlier lore, then we will do it if it's a good song. So we'll keep our options open.
The Legion is not just the 5 of you. The Legion is everybody that joins you, if you will, and the fans. And you're a band right now that you're basically in that phase of, in a few years, like, oh, I knew them before they were cool, kind of thing. Like it's new. You're starting to get some very, very ardent fans already. But you're gonna, that is going to blow up in a way, if you will. The fans that can be on the journey with you right now, they'll feel a very special connection with you. Now, obviously, those fans, I've already seen many people ask about this, but they're gonna want to see you play live. I want to see you play live, and when we do, talk about Lost Horizon earlier, real briefly. I feel like they're definitely their spirit is definitely present in a song like The Revelation. So I hope that when you play live, we get to hear that song in particular. What can we keep our fingers crossed for right now? What have these spirits from the world, or these dragon lords from the world beyond time, what do they have in store for you and for us in 2025?
Well, I think to be brutally honest, it started out as a studio project, and with like good friends and good laughs and good beers, and then it started getting bigger and bigger in our heads as well. And then, of course, being on a label now and writing new material, well, that's something we do currently. And about the question of performing live, we definitely have not ruled that out. But it also, that being said, we don't want to do, things that would kind of compromise this whole idea. So we've had our share of gigs in very tiny places with little or no crowd. So DragonKnight needs an army to be performed at our side. So
you can't just go on a stage also just wearing camouflage shorts and a death metal T-shirt and that's it.
Although that's
a
very
production
cool too.
now.
Exactly. So that's something one needs to be mindful of and think about. And so I'm pretty confident when I say that there will be no smallish DragonKnight, test shows anytime soon.
I think we definitely our goal is we are already looking at the next album, and as said earlier, we don't rule out live shows at this point, but it's not a priority at least. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Now you are partnering with Scarlet Records, who are fast becoming this place in the world of metal that picks out interesting bands and catapults them to the next stage. We are seeing that right now happening with a band like Fellowship, for example, who are starting to blow up, internationally in the power metal scene. There must be some sort of conversation about this as well with them as a partner, that they're looking to really launch you as well. I have a feeling that this won't stay a studio project for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, you might be right, but as Solaris said, that's not something we're made our minds on yet.
Right.
But we've had discussions with them, and when we signed to the label, we were pretty open about it. This is maybe one thing we want to get across. We are like, although we wear masks and kind of hide our identities quite poorly, but we do. We want to be very open, and I would like to on the as on behalf of the whole DragonKnight that the music is also quite sincere. Power metal bands often, which is kind of okay. They're kind of making a mockery out of the genre, or like a parody of the genre, and that's fine, and they write great songs. But we think that dragons are pretty fucking great, so we don't want to laugh at the face of dragons,
No, that could be very dangerous to laugh in the face of a dragon.
Stupid.
Yes. Now, when you say like, we're trying to hide our identities and so on, that doesn't mean that for future videos you're going to have to cover the tattoos on the keyboards players' fingers and stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Also. Now, one thing is, even for new brands, the cool thing about modern day technologies and what have you is that you can not only bring your music all over the world straight away, but you can also track that, and you can already start seeing where people are listening to your music. And that is not just coming from the Nordics, if you will, not even just from Europe. I'm calling you from Toronto in Canada, and in the United States and in Canada, we've seen the last few years traditional European power metal becoming extremely popular, right? And we've had a ton of European bands come over. We just had Powerwolf here. We have Visions of Atlantis came over. A lot of power metal bands are playing North America all of a sudden. There is a demand for that. Maybe a double question, but first, are you already kind of surprised to see how international your audience is? And then second, if you ever do think of, when the time is right and you feel that you can do it, the music justice with the right production and all that kind of good stuff, are there places in the world that you'd absolutely want to take this live show to?
Well, I think I think we would definitely, want to come to North America. Definitely, if it would come to that. So, like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah,
But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the internationality of this kind of music has been kind of the foundation of power metal. Also earlier on, German power metal bands coming, touring Europe and going to Japan and whatever. So so that it's now coming to North America, maybe that's a surprise, but the international audience, maybe not.
What lies below with the legions of immortal dragonlords.
Which what is quite interesting in my opinion is that there are not that many power metal bands, or at least traditional power metal bands, coming from Finland.
exactly.
There are, of course, the major ones, Stratovarius and Sonata Arctica, but it's a kind of a different genre. It's not the fantasy type.
Right.
So I think that's an interesting twist to it as well.
Yeah, I think like my guess is that it's more like will be more popular in Central Europe, like Germany, Italy, maybe France, than in Finland. Because
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, which brings us back to the whole idea of musicians having been forced to play certain types of metal their entire career and finally get a chance to let their inner teenager come out, which I think is happening right now. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, Lord Solarius and Lord Karatas, I'm really excited to see how the broader audience is going to react to your album. I had a lot of fun listening to this album, and especially because for somebody my age who also was a teenager in the 90s, and kind of feels like the whole album in a way, and I don't mean this as a negative thing, kind of feels more like a compilation that kind of both honors all the great stuff of that old school power metal, and at the same time, giving us a modern twist, which is a really fun nostalgic trip for me. And I have a feeling a lot of people will react in a similar way. And I'm sure that the Legion is going to grow substantially when the album comes out on January 17. I do hope we get to see you on a stage before the second album comes out, but I'll leave that up to you to decide when the Legion is ready to go to war on stages all over the world. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, especially part of your journey so early on. Again,
Thank
we
you.
knew it before it was cool. Thank you so much
We're honored.
for
Thank
being
you.
here. Really appreciate it. And I wish you guys the best possible start to 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Legions of immortal, legions of immortal dragonlords.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.